Boys are inundated with different signals and definitions of what it means to be a man.
These are sperm cells.
Whether it's from movies, comic books, other friends and adults, or even TV shows, it can be really hard for parents to navigate. For many of us, the best examples we have are our own childhood experiences. So I'm chatting with dads about how boyhood prepared them for fatherhood. Joe Ghartey is a single father of 3. His middle child, Penelope, or Penel, is a transgender boy. For Joe, thinking about his own childhood helped him put his son's identity into perspective. When did you start noticing signs that Penelope was different?
2 or 3 years old. So he had long hair with these beautiful little pom-poms, it was really cute. But he wanted to cut it. Yeah, that's a serious haircut. Let's look, turn around. Then it kept on evolving from there. So it was a shorter and shorter haircut, wearing a dress fewer and fewer times. He never liked to do the things or wear the clothes that were expected based on his gender.
What was that like for you?
It's not easy. First of all, as parents, you never know exactly what the right thing is to do.
How do you spell anxious?
I think like most people in this country, you are raised to play certain roles, especially if you come from a kind of traditional family. And it's not that often that you're confronted with questions that are so deep at such a young age and so defining in terms of who you are. But the interesting thing about that process for me was I found that it was more about my own self-discovery. My father's Ghanaian and my mother's Canadian. And when I was about 13 or so, my parents decided that they wanted me and my siblings to get some Ghanaian culture, essentially. My white mother took us to live in Ghana while my father stayed here to work.
What was it like racially navigating Ghana as both a biracial child, but also with a white mother as the only visible parent?
Yeah, obviously when I was in the United States, I was black. And when I went to Ghana, in a boarding school, there were 2,000 kids, and I think I was the lightest skinned person out of all 2,000 kids. So, they would call me white. And I would say, what are you talking about? I'm not white, I'm black. And they'd look at me like I was crazy. As if almost I told a white person here that I was white. And there's a little song they sang called Oboni Koko Banshi Chichi Gongo. And it basically just talks about the red white man, and they were talking about me. And I think what that did was it allowed me to realize that race, as we know it, is really all about perspective. And it's about often defining differences to make ourselves feel comfortable. And in some ways, it is not dissimilar from the way that people define Penel and saying you're different, this is what you are, and they're going to put, the society's going to put their label on who you are based upon how you look. In his case, the genitalia that he has. And so, that idea of the world putting a label on you and you not necessarily fitting that label is one that I was familiar with and felt an understanding for. I actually sat down and had a conversation with him and just asked him straight out, do you want me to call you he? And he said, yes, I want you to call me he. Then I said, fine, that's it, I'll call you he.
Penelope transitioning to different pronouns and to identifying as a boy is a big adjustment. Yes. Do you feel like you had to mourn that, or how did you deal with that? It's funny, people have asked that question before about whether kind of mourned the loss of a daughter. And I did not feel that way at all because I still had my Penel. Because Penel hasn't changed. So even though the pronouns changed, really the way that Penel's interacted with us hasn't changed. I love Penel for who he is, with the body that he is, the person that he is, and as that changes, I'll still feel the same way. I would love for him to be able to say, yeah, I'm different, and I love myself, and I'm different.